Okay, this particular subject that I wanted to address in this one is actually, in my mind, rather ludicrous. But I used to actually take it very, very seriously, along with a lot of the other phony things that I took seriously in AA. But I even remember people telling me that they had talked to their sponsors about this and, gotten advice about this. And a couple of meetings where that was the entire subject of the meeting, despite what they had read out of the big book of bullshit, as some people have called it online, which is a more accurate description of it. But a couple of nights ago, I remember I had a drinking dream, probably for the first time in a long time, and it was one of those realistic style dreams. A lot of my drinking dreams are the same. I'm usually like on my third or fourth trip to a liquor store, and I'm buying another half pint, and there's usually always something bad happening. But you know how dreams are; they're usually really distorted. They're not really kind of like a clear cut linear narrative as to whatever is going on. And I'm not saying there's not some truth in interpreting dreams or whatever. I've never really gotten into that. I don't know a lot about it, but I remember an entire meeting one time was about people who have drinking dreams, and these particular old timers were saying that's God telling you that you're not working your program, and all these other people were taking this all so seriously. I had a drinking dream. It must mean something. It must mean that there's a dreadful, horrifying relapse waiting for me right around the corner that's going to take me out again. AA has to keep you in constant fear of something. Otherwise, AA would have absolutely no role whatsoever. I mean, when you really think about it, take away the terror and the threat of a relapse or going back out or dying, since AA loves to throw that term around a lot, and there's really no need for AA any longer when you take away that fear. Now, I mean, the people who get off on being petty little tyrants, the old timer hierarchy that have absolutely no life whatsoever outside of being in those rooms and being called on and getting to play minor god in people's lives by having sponsees and stuff, it might be a different story. For them, it's, a social outlet, as unhealthy of a social outlet as that possibly is. But I remember not too long ago talking to a family member who had quit smoking. She had said her last cigarette was in 1996, was when she had put out her last cigarette. And she said even now, ever so often, she would have a dream where she was smoking a cigarette, and she would feel this guilty feeling upon awakening. In fact, she said even now, almost over 20 some odd years later, one or two times she's seen somebody lighting a cigarette on the television, and just there's that funny little thing that turns on that she says makes her want a cigarette. And of course, AA people try to create this illusion that if you're addicted to alcohol, that it's a completely different set of rules, it's a completely different set of laws, that it's completely unique and completely different than anything else there is out there. I mean, they even go so far in their literature as to say if somebody has cancer, everybody feels sorry for that person and nobody gets hurt and there's no resentments. Which, even when I was buying into the AA party line, I used to think that was a really, really highly insulting thing to say. In fact, I thought it was a extremely, not just in a matter of bad taste, but it was just an extremely shitty thing to compare it to. I've got a bad drinking problem, but I got it worse than people who have cancer because of what exactly? I've lost two family members to cancer, and I can tell you there's plenty of hurt feelings. And the line about no one gets hurt used to piss me off the most. If you don't think somebody dying from cancer in your household doesn't hurt anybody, I don't know what plane of reality you're living in. But we're talking about AA people, so they're not exactly known for being in line with logic and reality. But to get back to drunk dreams, I've had several since leaving AA, so I know that, because I said I had a drunk dream the other night, there's probably a lot of naysayers and people like that piece of shit, John Tuttle and others that are, he's going to get drunk again. It's just, no, I've had drinking dreams before. In fact, I've had several drinking dreams over the years since I've left AA and left drinking, and nothing ever seems to happen as a result of those. It's not a warning sign that you're craving alcohol. It's not a warning sign of anything other than dreams. I had a dream one time that I was in high school again, and even though I was my current age, and I remember I was arguing with a teacher in the dream that I was not going to go by these high school rules because I was 43 years old and I may be forced to attend high school, but it was not going to, and I woke up shortly after that, and Nothing has happened in my life that suggests that I will have to go back to high school. So for every realistic nightmare I've had, uh, I've never feared any of those coming true. You know, there's been nightmares I've had where I would fall asleep on my hand. I even read about that, where your hand goes to sleep and your brain actually produces a nightmare in order to shock you awake so you can roll back off your hand and you don't cut off your blood supply and lose your hand. But I actually do remember people taking the topic of a drinking dream as something really serious, really, you know, something to really be alarmed about, something to worry about. I'm not sure what you could do about a drinking dreams in terms of the superstitious dread that they were having about it. They were treating it like some medieval omen. You know, a black bird flew into my window this afternoon, and I know somebody in the household is going to die, or something like that. I mean, but I found, like I said with my story with my aunt, with someone who smoked cigarette, who used to smoke cigarettes, who hasn't had a cigarette in over 20 some odd years, and still the temptation comes and goes. Just like in my case, the temptation to drink sometimes comes and goes. It's not really an all-consuming, crushing desire, a need to really, you know, oh God, I've got to get a bottle or I'm going to die kind of feeling like I used to have when I was really hooked. It's just, you know, it'll come and go from time to time, and it's not really something I look at as a major trigger or something that I even worry about too much. Maybe because I've been without a drink for quite a while now, but I don't really I'm not going to say I'll never drink again. I'm not going to say I'll never have a moment of weakness or whatnot, or you know, what any thing could happen in the future. I don't think you can say safely never again with anything in life. Life is very uncertain, more uncertain than a lot of people in AA who seem to have this idea of a manifest destiny thing going on more than they would care to admit. But I am going to say that as of now, and has been for a very long time, the desire to drink or the need for drink is just not there anymore. I don't really, realistically, in the foreseeable future, see myself succumbing to a drink. And if I did do that, it wouldn't be because I had this bad nightmare about drinking. But I would hear old timers talk about that's God trying to tell you you need to work a stronger program. And of course, their definition of a stronger program, this was coming from people who were already going to meetings every day. And the people that made a career out of going to AA, I never did know exactly how they managed to support themselves. They were always eating fast food. They always had the money to buy that. They always had brand new clothes, and yet their whole entire career seemed to be hanging around AA clubhouses, seemed to be going to AA meetings. Like, you know, I remember one time when I had to change shifts at work. I was going to have to work like 3 to 11 versus my during the day type shift at the time. And I had gone into a noon meeting thinking it was going to be a completely different crowd, a completely different atmosphere, you know, everything else. It was the same exact fucking people that I would see up there at 8 o'clock at night. And I thought, what are you guys doing to support yourselves? You know, what, even if, let's just say, I had plenty of money and never had to worry about paying another bill or never had to worry about, rent or anything else for the rest of my life, I don't think that even in my brainwashed cult AA days, where I did go to meetings every day, that I would ever fathom the idea of sitting in 3 and 4 meetings a day. I don't, just doesn't seem realistic to me. It doesn't even seem like, it just seems like such a depressing existence to just sit in those horrible meetings 2 and 3 times a day. But these were the people that were saying if you dreamed about getting drunk, that you needed to work a stronger program. And of course, it used to kind of crack me up when I would hear people saying they worked a strong program. What exactly is a strong program? Admitting you're powerless even more than you're already doing in AA. 13-stepping newcomers and exploiting sponsees even more. Doing more inventories where you just more or less say everything is your fault. I mean, what is exactly a strong program? You know, it used to crack me up that I would hear people refer to themselves as working a strong program, but yet some of these same people, when they were chastising other people for not working a very strong program, would actually admit in their shares that they had drinking dreams. So I mean, was their strong program not strong enough? Did it need to be 10 times stronger than it already was, which amounts to absolutely doing nothing? There's no, you know, you'll hear people talking about the work. What work? Sitting in meetings, drinking nasty ass coffee, talking to sponsees about how they should want what you have. I mean, what work is there involved in that? When you say work to me, you know, I'm picturing I don't know, something like, digging a ditch with a shovel, maybe putting down tiles on a roof, something like that, something that involves actual physical labor when you talk about work. But overall, I would just say this. If you've ever had any drinking dreams out there and you're either in AA, thinking about leaving AA, or you're just in general one of these people that gets that uneasy feeling right after a drunk dream, I would say I'm willing to bet, if I was going to lay odds, I'd say it's a 99.9% chance that this is not some unforeseen prophecy that's lying in the future somewhere at a later date. Even, if you really wanted to get technical about it, you could just say it's deep-seated fear in your subconscious that says you're afraid of something like that happening again, which actually that's not an unhealthy thing. But the power of what a drinking dream can do to you is only the power that you would give to something like that. I mean, I've had dreams before, not just in the realm of drinking, but just dreams in general that would give me an uneasy feeling upon awakening. A dream that would kind of stick with me for the first couple of hours of the morning. It was like, wow, that one really shook me up. Doesn't mean anything happened as a result of it. Doesn't mean that anything throughout my day, some horrifying thing was waiting on me around the corner that was going to prove my dreams were a prophecy of some sort. But a drinking dream is no different than any other dream that you might have. I'm sure people who are, I'm sure people who have beat other addictions have had dreams about returning to those addictions. I knew a guy that he couldn't no longer ride motorcycles due to an injury he had gotten with his leg or whatever, and he said he dreamed about riding on Harley Davidsons all the time. I think that's pretty natural. I mean, I think sometimes dreams are just a reflection of life's experiences. I mean, what dreams are exactly, the substance that they're made of, to rip off some line somewhere, I think kind of remains a bit of a mystery. I don't think it's completely fully explained. Strangely enough, I've never had a dream where I'm using a computer, and I've never had a dream where I'm using a cell phone. I don't use cell phones much in real life. I'm kind of the stereotypical older guy that everybody, the younger people, makes fun of for not knowing what certain apps are and not knowing how to do certain things with my phone. I don't have a phone in my hand constantly. I'm still actually reading books when I'm in doctors' offices, even though I'm surrounded by people that have phones around them. But I've never used a computer, I've never watched the television, and I've never used the phone in one of my dreams. Is that prophetic of something? Does it mean that there's some dystopian nightmare world waiting around the corner where there'll be no more computers and televisions and phones because of my dreams? I mean, get real for a second. Oftentimes when any kind of emotion hits you that makes you feel a little uncertain or a little anxious or a little worried or whatever it is, I've noticed that AA people love to prey on that. I noticed they love to exploit that even because, like I said, they need terror to keep their membership going, to keep their meetings going, to keep their fellowship alive and well. Because if there was truly a world out there where people who used to be severely addicted to drugs and alcohol are no longer addicted and are living fairly normal, fairly peaceful lives without them, then again, what is the purpose of AA? What's the purpose of being powerless? What's the purpose of doing a million inventories talking about how horrible of a person you are? Well, that's right, there's none. None at all. Anyway, this is not a very serious topic. This is not a very seriously made video. I found it amusing when I had the drink it dream a couple of nights ago. I thought, I ought to talk about that because there might be people out there who might watch this thing and actually have drinking dreams and might still be buying into that AA brainwashing bullshit that they give you. Other than that, I think I'll see you guys pretty soon, hopefully by next week, but you know how erratic my schedule goes with this channel. Until next time.